Good evening to all the pet lovers joining us here at the Philippine Stars Ask Matt the Animal Guy, a live Q&A with Australian animal trainer and behaviorist Matt Lawe. My name is Jane Rodriguez, a certified pet lover myself. I have a cat and a dog. My cat's name is Angus and my dog's name is Molly. And I will be your host for tonight's virtual event. For all the pet owners out there, I'm sure you know how our pets are more than just animals. They are like our family to us. It is needless to say that they add so much joy and improve our lives overall, whether it's reducing stress, easing our loneliness, or helping us become more active every day. But even amidst all their cuteness, sometimes our animal friends can get a little tricky to handle. And in spite of all our best efforts to train them, nothing seems to work. But fret not, because today we will be introducing you to someone ready to help address your animal problems tonight. Okay, so have you ever heard of an animal whisperer? Someone who seems to have their way or a magic touch with animals and can solve what seems to be unsolvable. I have a lot of questions for him actually tonight. I'm very excited to finally introduce to you tonight's special guest joining us all the way from Australia, Matt Lawe. Matt Lawe is a world-renowned animal trainer and behaviorist and has more than 25 years of experience working with all kinds of exotic creatures, from dolphins, whales, sea lions, parrots, eagles, to domestic animals such as dogs, cats, horses, goats, pigs, fish, birds, snakes for television, movies, and commercials. His passion lies in teaching humans how best to live in harmony with their pets, using his method of offering positively reinforced techniques to create better relationships between animals and their stewards. That's us. While in the Philippines, he has conducted dozens of public workshops and one-on-one training with clients. Let's say hello to Matt, everyone, and give a warm welcome to Matt in the comments. Now, remember, if you have any questions about your pets, you may want to ask Matt later tonight. Send them down below, and we'll get back to you. Hello, Matt. What's up?
Hey, JM. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a very happy Sunday here in the Philippines. What time is it in Australia?
Well, in Australia at the moment, it's 8:05 on a Sunday evening.
On a Sunday evening. Where are you? Whereabouts in Australia?
In Southeast Queensland on the Gold Coast. Live in a lovely spot right on the beach here. It's wonderful.
Wow. That's perfect. Okay, let's get on with the show, Matt. Are you ready? I have so many questions. Okay, this is the first question. What should new or wannabe pet owners consider before choosing which animal to get to their home?
JM, that's a really good question, and it needs to be answered because a lot of people, I think, when they look at getting a pet, that's not one of the things they consider. For example, if you are a person who, say you're choosing a dog, for example, and you're a person that likes to go for a run, well, you're not going to choose a dog that is not a sporty dog or a dog that likes to go out for a run. And vice versa, if you happen to be a person that just likes their own space in their house and just to sit down and not do much at all other than watch TV and have a coffee, then you're not going to get a highly strung, energetic dog because it will go crazy in the house. It needs to exercise. You're going to get a nice little lap dog that's happy to sit at your feet or sit on the lounge with you, or if you want to put the leash on and go for a walk, it's happy to do that as well. You've got to get an animal that suits your lifestyle. And having said that, you know, there are different types of cats that are going to be more suited to your lifestyle, or you might want to be able to have a goldfish or a lizard or a snake or something like that that might be better suited to your lifestyle. So in answer to your question, what sort of pet should people get? Consider your lifestyle first. Once you know what sort of lifestyle you want, then that will merge into what type of pet's best suited for you.
That's a really good answer. Well, I guess I made a mistake with my dog.
What did you get?
I like to go for runs, but my dog, Molly, is a chow chow, and she just sleeps the whole day. Well, I'm also a lazy guy, so I guess it's the same. Yeah, it suits my other.
It balances out.
Yeah, but my cat, Angus, is a bit scared of people. Can I fix that?
Oh, really? Well, you can fix that, but in order to fix something like that, the question that needs to be asked would be, why is your cat scared and what has changed? People don't understand. Cats are very sensitive and they're very territorial. So it can be as simple as something in your house, like you've moved the furniture, you've changed something in the house, or you've got guests coming over, or you've got a new girlfriend or a new partner, whatever it happens to be. Something has changed in that pack, and the cat acts a little bit different. So you need to be aware of those types of things. And when you can find out the reason why your cat might be scared, then we can adopt methodology to fixing that. But the first thing is we need to find out why they're scared. And I don't know the reason what's changed in your house, why your cat would be scared. But if you could throw me a few tips there, I might be able to give some solutions.
I think it's because I have a lot of guests that come in. I like to throw like little parties. And I noticed that when my friends come, he just runs around and he doesn't want to get like touched, or he's not as friendly as the other cats that I see in my friends' homes.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. You know what? My suggestion for you would be cats like to find a place where they feel safe and secure. So if you have a lot of people coming around, their environments change. So create an environment where they can feel secure. Cats like to be up high, or they like to actually hide as well. So give them an area which is their safe zone. You can tell your guests, don't go near the cat over there. Just let the cat have its own space. As the cat starts to feel comfortable, the cat might come down off its scratch pole, or it might come out from underneath the lounge, and it will come out and be around the people. But if the cat doesn't want to, that's okay. It's just as long as they feel safe. So the reason your cat gets a little bit upset and runs away is because it's got nowhere around you where it feels safe and secure. So it will go somewhere else to feel safe and secure. But you can fix that by creating a safe area for your cat around your guests. Make sense?
Oh, it super makes sense. Well, I do have a safe space for him. It's in my bathroom, and he likes staying there when because I guess, yeah. And when I have guests coming, he just stays there. So I guess that's good enough.
Yeah, that's great.
I just want him to be like friendlier and be more sociable. But I guess cats are different from dogs.
Well, they are very different from dogs in the way they interact, but cats can still be sociable. Have you noticed cats, when you go to pat them, people try to pat cats like they're dogs. And as you made the point, that they're not dogs. So when you go to pat them, sometimes cats, they handle your pat for a little while, but then they just go crazy and their claws come out and they try to bite you and scratch you, or they try to run away. That's because they don't like to be touched, right? Cats like to sit next to you. They like to sit on the back of the lounge. They like to sit near you. They don't necessarily like to be smothered by people, if you know what I mean. They're happy to be near you. That's how they work.
That's so good, Matt. Thank you so much. Okay, second question. What are unusual pet options that are actually good to consider? Are pets like birds, lizards, snakes? 2 pigs safe for kids? But pigs too, are they safe for kids?
That's an interesting question. Are pigs safe for kids? Well,
I used to have a pet pig also, by the way.
So did I, actually. I had a pet pig as well. And pet pigs are actually a lot of work. One, they eat an awful lot. 2, they're also very smart and they need a lot of enrichment. If you don't give them, when I say enrichment, they need things to do to occupy their time, because if they're not going to occupy their time with things to do, pigs naturally destroy stuff. I don't know if you're the one you had destroyed things, but mine just went crazy, dug up everything. So are pigs a good choice for kids? Probably not. Are they safe for kids? I would suggest not. I think because the reason I think they're not that safe for kids is because it's in the training. You need to be able to condition your animals to be family safe. Just like some breeds of dogs aren't going to be family safe. I would have other choices over these particular breeds of dogs and pigs, versus maybe, say, lizards or birds or goldfish. They're a much safer bet for children, more so than the pigs.
Well, my pig was always outside, never went in my our house, my grandma's house. So he would just run around, and we had like a big lawn, so never really like destroyed anything.
No. Well, ours destroyed our garden and the dog's bed and a few other things. You know, it took over the dog's bed and the dog's food bowl. It ruled the roost.
Yeah, my pig's name was Porky. I was a very
appropriate.
Very, very smart kid. For those who are considering getting a dog, what breeds would be good for beginners, and how about cats?
Well, you know, breeds for beginners, I would suggest things like Labrador, Golden Retrievers. Everybody loves those guys. Poodles, Cavalier King Spaniels. Those types of breeds of dogs are very family orientated. They're easy to train. They tend not to be very aggressive or moody. They slip within the pack of a family very well. So that's what I would suggest in terms of dogs that people focus on. Now, in terms of cats as well, for me, well, in my opinion, I would pick things like Persians. Persians are a great cat to have. They're quite placid. They tend to, what would I say, dovetail into the pride. I call it a pride. With a dog, it's with a pack, and with cats, it's a pride. But if you look at lions, say, for example, out in the field, when they're in their pride, they like to come up to the pride leader. They generally rub their face along the pride leader, and then they just fall in a heap, and they're happy to sit next to the pride leader. Persian cats are a lot like that. Other cats, not so much. You've noticed they tend to be a little bit more aggressive. They tend to be more defensive. They don't fit well in with the family or the pride, and they're always on edge, prowling the streets, making sure no other males come around, which is okay if that's what you want, but you need to be sure on what you're getting when it comes to cats.
I have a Scottish fold. It's
Okay.
pretty much like short haired, yeah, and it's really cute. Looks like an owl.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Is he friendly with you?
Very friendly with me. In fact, he's somewhere out here. He's probably gonna drop by later. I notice when I'm busy, he like just crosses. So I'll probably pick him up later.
Good. I'd like to see him.
Yeah, Angus, where are you? Anyway, let's proceed to the next question. Cats usually have a bad reputation for being moody. And what can you say about this?
You know what? Cats, they're not really moody as much as they are. People just have a bad way of interpreting the mood of a cat. Obviously, cats can't speak English, so they need to be able to communicate with you, telling you how they're feeling. Cats often need stimulation. So the way most people keep their cats is they keep them in the house and they feed them at night. They let them wander around the day, and that's about it. But cats need more than that. They need stimulation. They need environmental enrichment. So it might be something as simple as having a laser, shooting a laser on the floor, and they chase the little red dot, or it might be a ribbon on the end of a stick, and they chase that ribbon. What that's doing is getting out all this energy in them that they're trying to get out throughout the day, and they can't displace. So when you come along and in a particular context and a cat seems to act in a moody way, it's not really moody per se. It's just built up tension that they haven't got out throughout the day. Make sense?
Okay. Super makes sense. Does nutrition play a role in a cat's mood and like character?
Oh, big time. Big time. You know, nutrition in cats and dogs, it's not the same. Okay, dogs need more protein and fats, and cats need more calcium and fats than protein. So they're different diets. But just like people, if they get the wrong diet, you know, you've seen children give them too much sugar, they go crazy. Some children crazier than others. It's the same with dogs and cats. Give them an unbalanced diet, and it will reflect in maybe their behavior, but it will certainly reflect in their skin, their fur. Their fur's not as shiny. Their skin will start to get a little bit lumpy. They'll itch more. It's not unusual, would you believe, for dogs, for example, and cats to be allergic to chicken. That's a common thing. So I think that feeding dogs and cats a mixed bunch of food, I think is good in the end. I think, but to start in the beginning, I think we need to use the process of elimination. So if you're feeding your cat just fish and your cat's fine, no problem. You want to mix up the diet, feed them just chicken. Now, if they respond negatively with chicken, that might be they get very itchy or their fur starts falling out. That would probably be a good indicator that they might be allergic to chicken. So eliminate chicken. Don't put all the foods in the one bowl and then say, oh, my cat or my dog responded funny to that food. I wonder what it was. How are you going to know if you got 5 or 6 things in the bowl?
Yeah. My dog's allergic to chicken, so we stopped doing that already.
Good. Good.
Okay, let's talk about like your challenging training job. Like, what is your most challenging training job in the past? Like, could you tell us more about what creature and how you overcame this challenge?
You know that. So you want to know what my most challenging creature was? Can that creature be an animal or a person?
So the question on the script is, what has been your most challenging training job in the past? Could you tell us about the creature and how you overcame the challenge?
You know, my most challenging one would be a sugar glider. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's
I know
like you do, okay. So they're tiny. They're not even as long as your hand, okay? So now a sugar glider only eats a certain amount of food per day, and that might be a thimble of juice, for example, or nectar. So within that thimble, I need to be able to train this sugar glider to fly from one point to the other point. When I say fly, I really mean glide, because you know they can't fly, of course, they glide. But I've only got X amount of nectar to feed the animal. And plus, they're nocturnal animals, so to teach them to do anything during the day is very challenging because they're always on the lookout for predators. Of course, there's no predators around, but it's innate in their brain to always be on guard for other animals trying to eat them. So getting a sugar glider that is nocturnal, that is extremely scared of its environment, that I have limited food to train with, to glide from point A to point B for a movie was quite a challenge. If you could imagine, with all the boom mics and the lights and the people and all these new sounds that the animal's not used to, it was a big challenge, but we got it in the end.
Sugar gliders are similar to bats, right?
You know, I don't reckon they are similar to bats. Bats are well, sugar gliders are part of the possum family. Yeah.
Okay.
And bats aren't part of the possum family. And the sugar gliders, they've got a membrane that comes under their arm and attaches to just down on top of their hip. And they climb up the top of the trees and they jump out of the tree and they glide on that membrane. Whereas bats have actually got a membrane wing that they flap. So I guess they're similar in the sense that they've got a membrane, but different families.
So different families, yeah. Because you said they were nocturnal, so I thought they were similar to our like bats back here in the Philippines.
No, good question, but not quite the same.
Okay, cool. Next question. A few days before the show, we asked our followers if we had any pet problems and collected some of them to answer.
Great.
From about training, from owner Felisa. How early or young should you start training your pets? And what are the most important skills you should learn early? Sorry. Oh, there. Here we go.
My Bichon, she is 2 months, almost 3 months old. I was just wondering how young should I start training my pet, and what are the most important skills that they should learn at an early age? That's it.
You know, that's a good question. Training is a very broad word, because when people say training, I think they might be talking about things like sitting, stay, walk on the leash, heel, come when called. That's part of training, but training happens way, way before that. So I can see she has a little dog there. I'm not quite sure how young that, how young was that dog, she said? Was it 2 years?
My name is Cal, and this is my Bichon. She is 2 months, almost 3 months old.
2 months.
I was just wondering.
2 months. Okay, great. Well, at 2 months of age, I would be training that little dog to, first of all, come when called, stay, and walk on a lead, and to eat when told as well. So at 2 months is probably a perfect age. But you have to remember that also, because they're young dogs, you can't be too strict on them. Okay, they're still just puppies, and I think one of the most important things when you're teaching dogs, especially young dogs, is clear communication. Dogs don't talk like people. They don't communicate like people. But the problem is people try to train their pets like they train their children. And it doesn't work like that. We don't think the same. We don't act the same. We need to be able to give good communication lines between the owners and the pets. So when the pets are young, I would start with things like coming when called, just putting the leash on the dog so the dog gets used to walking with the leash, not expecting miracles. The dog just has to get used to walking on the leash, and you need to be able to reinforce the dog for doing the right thing. Reinforcing positively is not just verbal, but also with food as well. So 2 months would be a good age, but I would just caution you on how strict you are with some of the behaviors.
Okay, second video, please. Logan the Beagle. Do we have a video?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's just Logan the Beagle. The question is, how do you get beagles to stop chewing on stuff like furniture if there are no more chew toys around?
Well, if there's no more chew toys around, I think she's hit the nail on the head there. If the dog's chewing, especially beagles, it's because they have nothing else to chew on. I mean, if you're not going to give your pet an alternative, then it's just going to go with what it knows, which is the table legs and the chair legs and maybe the lounge and all the things you don't want your dog to chew on. I think we've all been through that stage. The solution is supply alternatives. You know, I had for some of my clients, what I do with them, and I offer this suggestion to them, I get big bones, big raw bones, and they might be as thick as your arm, so they don't have any bits the dog can pull off. And I put that bone in the freezer. And then before I go out or before I want to do something on my computer or the dog just needs to be occupying its own time, I pull that frozen bone out of the freezer, I give it to the dog, and then the dog is occupied for probably an hour, hour and a half with the frozen bone gnawing away. Then when I want to give the dog attention, I take the bone off the dog, I put it back in the freezer, and the dog's interacting with me again. So what you're doing is you're supplying an alternative versus to saying to the dog, well, you go and be a good dog and do whatever you need to do.
That's such a good idea. I'll remember that for sure. Yeah. Leash pulling. The bichon frise of my cousin Boo. How do we address dog wanting? Oh, there's a video. Okay, let's do it. Oh, I remember this. We saw this video, Matt, remember?
Yeah, we did see this video. Okay, so I've worked with Boo's little dog before. And first of all, here's the biggest issue, okay, is see the length of the lead. With the lead that long, what you're saying to the dog is go wherever you want, whenever you want. Okay, there's only two positions in a pack. You're a leader or you're a follower. Have a look in this shot here. Who do you reckon the leader is?
Dog.
When you look behind, if there's nobody following you, then you're not the leader, right? So the way to fix that, okay, the way to fix that is have the dog on a short leash, okay? Now, the dog naturally wants to go and smell different dog scents and urinate and pee on different areas. That's normal for the dog, okay? That's perfectly normal. But this particular situation here, I would suggest have the dog on a short leash, have control, that the dog's looking up at you. It's always focused on you. If the dog is focused on you, then it can't be focused on the pots, going to pee on them or smell those. See, this dog's only focus is itself and what it wants to do, okay? So what I'm suggesting, short lead, the dog focuses on you. When the dog focuses on you, the dog gets fed. So the dog's got reason to look at you. It's got reason to focus on you. Then when you've got control of the dog, you can give the dog a long lead and say, okay, off you go. And the dog goes and does whatever dogs do. They want to smell, they want to wee, they want to chew, no problem. Then you can say, come on. And the dog comes over to your leg, goes back on a short leash, you continue walking, okay? That's a form of control, and it's a form of simple communication that you have between you and your dog, and it puts you in as the pack leader, and that will stop the leash pulling.
Wait, so does this mean that you should always be ahead of your dog, technically? Or not necessarily?
Technically, you should be ahead of your dog, yes. If you look in packs of dogs, there's always a head dog, a leader dog, yeah? And the subdominant dogs, they stay behind or they stay in the same line as you.
All right, cool. Did you hear that, guys? It's very important. Yeah. Because
it's
we
very,
always,
very important.
When we walk our dogs and we bring them outside to pee and all that, that's what they need to know.
Yeah, exactly, because it's a compounded issue. If dogs don't see you as a leader, it impacts other things in their life. Yeah, they're looking for security. They're looking for leadership. If you're not giving it, then they feel insecure. People think they're doing the right thing by saying, oh, okay, go off, do what you want to do, go and play. But they're always pulling the dog. The dog's always leading and feels like it has to be the boss. So when another dog comes, they feel like, oh, somebody's coming into my pack, I better be defensive. And they start barking and trying to get aggressive towards the other dog because they don't feel that you're protecting them. Make sense?
Makes sense. Super makes sense. Okay. Fierce pets. Here's Alexis. Cats, Mighty, and Munch. Is that a picture? Okay. How do we get our 2 male cats to stop fighting? Should we just let them fight it out?
No, you don't let them fight it out. I think when you've got pet animals in your life, it's your job as the owner to manage the situation. That's what you should be doing. And part of managing the situation is understanding why they're fighting in the first place. Now, I don't know if those cats came at the same time or one was in the house first and the other one was introduced later on. It doesn't really say there, I think, in the explanation. But let's just say one came before the other, okay? The one that was in there first has already gone around and marked its territory. It's put its smell on the rug or put the smell on a towel or on cushions or on the lounge, and it's marking its territory. So when another male cat comes in the area, its natural instinct is to defend its territory. So the way to get them together, okay, is you need to allow the cat to have its domain, its territory. So what I would do and what I've done in the past is, let's just say we have a room, for example. I divide the room in 2, okay? And one cat stays on one side and the other cat stays on the other side. Then when it comes to dinner time, I put the food on the ground and put the food on the ground on the other side. There might be like a dividing screen in between the 2, okay? But I put the food far away, maybe 10 feet away from each other. So when food's presented, the cat's going to be hungry. They're going to want to come down, okay? Then I lift the screen up just a little bit. It might only be an inch off the ground. So the cats can see the paws of each other, but they can't see each other. And I might do that for a week. And I can tell by the animal's behavior when they're starting to feel comfortable around eating. They're not feeling skittish or a little bit anxious about the other cat. When they're starting to feel comfortable, I raise the curtain just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more till eventually they're eating in clear sight of each other. Then I can gradually move the plates of food closer together. This may take a long period of time. When I say a long period of time, it might be a month. It might even be 10 weeks. It's going to depend on the cat's personality. This is part of the problem, is people have a problem and they want it fixed straight away. What they don't understand is some of these problems take small, successful, and successive approximations or steps in order to get to the end result. It doesn't happen in 24 hours. The other thing I would give to those cats is high places. Cats like to be up high. So I'd give them high, and it might be a scratch pole or something like that, where they can get up high in separate areas of the room. So that cat can have its domain over there, that cat can have its domain over here, and they can feel safe in their own area. They don't feel like they've got to have a clash with each other in order to take over each other's area. Okay?
Wow, Matt, I'm learning so much today. You're really good.
I'm glad you are.
Margot's Labrador Amanda. How do we tame their enthusiasm? Oh, there we go.
The question is, in the morning, the first time she sees me, she loves me too much that she really bites and I have bruises. So how do I prevent her from doing that?
All right. Well, this is a really common one. And remember before when we were talking about what to train dogs first up, and when people think about training, they think about, oh, I've got to walk the dog and I've got to sit the dog, and those are types of training. But people are training their pets and they don't even know they're training. Let me tell you how that excitable dog behavior happened. She says the dog loves her too much, but I'm pretty sure if she's like most other people, when she wakes up in the morning or when she comes home from work and she walks in the door and say the dog, I forget what the dog's name was, Sally, for example, she'll walk in and she'll go, hi, Sally, how are you? How are you, my little, come here, Sally, how are you? And the dog carries on and its tail's going and jumping up and down and trying to lick her all over the face. What she's doing is she's training the dog to say, this is the way you greet people, whether they're big, small, old, little, this is the way you interact with people. It's not the dog's fault. This is what you've trained them inadvertently. You need to understand what you're training. You're reinforcing the dog for responding that way. Solution. This is the solution. When you come downstairs of a morning or you come home from work, you totally ignore the dog. Now, you're not ignoring the dog per se, you're ignoring the behavior, okay? Behavior needs to be reinforced at the right time, positively reinforced. So if you don't make any eye contact with the dog, you walk straight past the dog, you go to the kitchen, you get your coffee, you do whatever you're doing. As soon as the dog is calm, you can reach down and you can say, good girl, Sally. That voice. Not, good girl, Sally. No. Good girl, Sally. Pat. Done. That's all you need to do. Then you can walk along and the dog might be beside you again. Give her a pat. As soon as she starts getting excited, remove your hands, walk the other way. Then your pet's learning, it gets reinforced and gets attention to being calm, being slow, relaxed, being in a very non-anxious state, okay? That's what you need to do. And that way that your dog will learn then when people come to the door, that's how I greet people, in a calm state. I don't jump at them. I don't need to do any of that in order to get attention.
Wow, that was so clear. Yeah, so basically like a higher tone will get them excited. Is that what you were trying to say?
Of course. Definitely a higher tone is not helpful if you don't want an excitable dog.
Okay. Christina Rhodesian, Ridgebacks. What is the most urgent way to prevent accidents like these by large, fierce dogs? There's a bite pic right there.
Well, gee whiz, there's so many ways to answer that, because the first thing that comes to mind is, why did the dog bite? And there could be so many things, you know, so it's very difficult to answer that question. But just to give the basic 101 of dogs is that, one, large dogs are not fierce. In their brain, large dogs think the same as small dogs. But when little white fluffy dogs start mouthing you on the hand and they're playing, we think it's cute. When a big dog does it, we think they're fierce and aggressive. That's not really the case, yeah? So the dogs mainly bite, not so much out of aggression, but more so out of defense. So if somebody has been bitten, there are a number of common things that happen as to why they get bitten. One, you go in the yard on your own and the owners aren't home. You go near their food source, their bowl. You get in front of the person and the dog gets defensive and tries to keep the person away. And the only way they know is they bite. Prior to that, they give a whole heap of body language signals to keep people away. But most people, unless you know what you're looking at, they don't pick up on that. But more often than not, it'll be a dog standing square on, head down, ears will be down as well, and you'll see the tail down as well. These are clear signs, keep away. Now, from the owner's point of view, if a dog feels that they have to be defensive when somebody comes into the house, that's because the dog feels that you are not the leader of their pack. The dog feels in that context, when somebody comes in, I have to protect you, which is okay. But as a pack leader, the owner, you should be able to say, good boy, enough. Wait, go sit down. and the dog should be able to calm down and go because they know the pack leader's got this under control. So in regard to why do they bite, there's a number of reasons. One is you're quite obviously not a pack leader of that pack. And two, the people aren't picking up on the signs of the dog saying keep away.
Cool. Trisha's German Shepherd Falco.
This is
two
Falco,
dogs
my
coexist?
9-year-old super fierce German Shepherd. Now lately, we've been thinking about getting a small dog here at home, but Falco's trainers have been telling us that it's just not safe for us to get another pet because he's just so territorially aggressive. So what do you think? Do you think it's really impossible if he hates other dogs? He's so sweet to humans though. See, look.
Yeah, well, my advice would be do not get another dog at this point in time, a little dog, because that will be a problem. Not because of the dog, but because most owners don't know how to do the training to get the pack order in place and manage it, and how to do the integration of another dog into the pack. If you don't know how to do that, especially with a dog like that, and that I think would be quite protective of the family, it could be a can of worms that you might regret taking the lid off. So can it be done? Yes, it can if you know what you're doing, for sure. Would I advise it for you? Perhaps not. Perhaps not.
Okay. Here we go. Anxiety of pets. Katrina's cat Cleo. We have cats at home and are thinking of bringing a new dog into the household. How do we safely introduce our puppy to them in order for them to live peacefully together? That's a very good question.
Yeah, it's quite a common problem, and I touched on a little bit about it before. When things change in the household, cats do get anxious. One of the biggest things you're going to have to do with this, I guess, integration is back to what I said before, is your cat needs to have a safe place. And quite often, the cat's going to like to be up high. It's going to like to have things that it sleeps on. It might be a towel or socks or whatever it happens to be. Don't wash those because the cat wants to have its own smell on there. And those things are going to go in your cat's safe place where the dog can't go. It is not allowed in there, okay? Over a period of time, I would slowly start to introduce the dog to the cat. Now, how would I do that? Again, I would do it very similar when it comes to feeding time, but also understand, using the same principle that I spoke about before with feeding, is puppies are known to gulp their food, so they're going to finish their food first. And once they finish, they're going to go over to the cat's food, which will ruin all your training you've done. So you need to be able to have the food down. When your pet's finished, your dog's finished, you would pick your dog up and take your dog somewhere else, or occupy your dog's time. Or you pick your cat's food up and then finish feeding your cat somewhere else, maybe over in a safe place where the dog can't get to. Once the animals get used to each other, then you can slowly lessen the threshold, bring them closer together. But I would definitely not, when I say favor the puppy too much or the dog, people think by picking up the pet, they're protecting the cat. What they're doing when they pick up the dog is they're reinforcing the dog for having a go at the cat. They may not see it like that, but picking up the dog is a positive reinforcement. You're getting attention from the human. So whenever the dog looks at the cat or looks like it's going to go to the cat, if somebody picks it up, that's encouraging it to happen the next time. So what's the solution? Create an alternative. Create something that's just as reinforcing or more reinforcing than going to the cat. For example, it might be dropping a teddy bear on the ground that the dog likes to play with, dropping a ball. It might be dropping a bit of food. So here's the scenario. If the puppy is looking at the cat and you can see that any second you know this puppy's going to run for the cat, you need to stop it before it runs. So drop that teddy bear, drop that bit of food, drop that ball so the dog is distracted and it's playing with that. The cat feels safer, the interaction is positive, and after a period of time, the dog's not going to chase the cat because when it looks at the cat, it's expecting to have interaction with you.
Wow. Okay. So interesting. Next slide. Oh, this is my cat.
Oh, okay.
And this is
cat.
his favorite. Yeah, this is his favorite chair. That's what he sits on. You actually answered my question already a while ago. I was just too excited to ask you. That's why sometimes I'm afraid of people when they come. But yeah, you've answered that. So let's shift to the next one. Bye, Angus. Okay, there you go. So Lucky is extremely stressed in the presence of mosquito zappers. The sound scares him and he hides. Is there anything we can do to help his anxiety?
It is interesting you say that because I've got a dog in the Philippines, a little white, fluffy Shih Tzu Terrier, and she's scared of mozzie zappers as well, like to the point where she starts shaking. We think what's happened, and maybe this is what's happened with this dog as well, is that they can see things in the mozzie zapper and they go over and investigate and they have a smell and they get a zap. And as a result, that's the reason why they're scared of them. Very difficult behavior to fix. But the only thing I could do to suggest to actually fix it is, one, don't put it on. Seems obvious. But if you do really want it on, I would put it as far away as possible. Every time a mosquito goes into the mozzie zapper, the dog is instantly going to be scared. So how do we break that? We need to create something that's positive, that's bigger than the negative of the mozzie zapper. That might not be picking your dog up and cuddling your dog, because you're cuddling. What people do is, oh, you're scared. Here, come sit up here. Come on, I'll look after you. That's how people communicate. That's not necessarily how dogs communicate. They're not people. So sometimes you can be reinforcing the fear. So what you need to be able to do is have something like, I would suggest, food in your hand, a little bit of bacon or something like that, something you know your dogs are going to really like, not a bit of dry mixed food that they leave in the bottom of their bowl, something that you know that they're going to really like. So every time the mozzie zapper goes off, you can give your dog food and you can see your dog's focus suddenly change to, there's food on the scene. I'm interested in food. The tail might start wagging and they're focused on the food, not focused on that sound in the distance, which is a mozzie zapper, and then the mosquitoes getting buzzed. And over time, you can bring that mozzie zapper closer. But you've got to remember those things, and it's almost on the edge of a phobia thing. They're quite difficult to fix, and you really need to know what you're doing in order to fix them. And some things can take, it might take a month, it might take 6 months, it might take a year. That's the process to fix it, but you got to remember it's a slow process, you know.
Okay, before we move on to answer more questions, we asked you listeners on one of our posts to share with us photos of your pets for a chance to be featured on the show.
Great.
So here's a little slideshow for all of you. That was cute. Wow, even my phone's buzzing. People are messaging me to ask questions, so we got to go back to the question.
Fire away.
Hi, JM. Please ask: our male American bully bear is very gentle and nice to people and other dogs in general. Why does he bite puppies when they get in his way? Even his own puppy. He bit recently. This is from my cousin Mikey Atayde. Mike Atayde.
Well, I would love to find out more information as to what he says biting or if it's just a little nip and it's a little bite, that's how dogs deal with puppies in their pack when they're young. That's what they do. They growl, they bark, they bite at them. Now, there's a big difference when he says biting, if he's biting and holding them down or giving them like a little mauling. Well, that's a little bit different. But biting or nipping is a form of communication. It's not always aggression. So within reason, it's quite normal as long as there's no harm.
Okay. Does chewing only come with teething, or are there breeds that really like to chew? That's from my mom.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there's not breeds that really chew more than others, but chewing often is a stress-related behavior. So if dogs are chewing the lounge or the chair or your shoes or something like that, it's generally because something else is going on. For example, you might have people leaving to go to work. So there's nobody in the house and dogs get stressed and they start chewing. People come back and home and interpret it as the dog being naughty. They're not being naughty. They're showing you that I'm unhappy. I'm stressed. It might be they're feeling sick. It might be there's a new friend or they've gone to a new house. There might be some sort of change in their environment. But chewing is very much a key indicator of stress-related behavior. So if they are chewing, I would be looking at addressing what the stress is in their life and having a go at fixing it.
Okay, thanks, Matt. From Christina Taida, this from our comments page. Hi, Matt. May I know how do I know how to stop my dog to keep on licking or picking up stuff off the ground?
Wow.
That's very hard. That's so normal for dogs.
Well, there are some dogs that are just more orientated towards doing that than others. Let's just take, see, I don't know what sort of species or what sort of breed of dog it is. So it's a bit of a broad question, but let's just say it's a beagle, for example, and beagle are very olfactory orientated, very scent orientated. That's one of the strongest functions on them. So that's why their head is permanently on the ground following scents, if you know what I mean. So whenever they find something, they're smelling it, rolling in it, or eating it. So how do you fix something like that? Again, because it's so innate in them, it's a natural thing in them, it can be very challenging. So again, the logic to apply to it is if they're not smelling on the ground or picking stuff up off the ground, what are they doing that's better than that? That's the question to ask yourself. If you're not giving them something better, a different alternative, then you're never going to fix that. Why would they stop? That's great fun for a dog. So what I do normally to fix those problems, and there's one also on my Instagram as well with the beagle, is you need to be able to get them to look at you. So as you're walking them, they're looking up at you. And why would they look at you? Because randomly they're getting food. So if their nose, you can feel their nose going to the ground, you can say whatever the dog's name is, Ralph, for example, Ralph. And he looks up. As soon as he looks up, he needs to be getting something. Because if he doesn't get something, next time you call him, he's not going to look up. Why would he? Why would he look up at you unless he's getting something better and instead of sniffing and smelling? So they're the reasons, they're the solutions.
There you go. From Dane Thornburg. My girlfriend's dog gets excited and pees on me every time. What can I do?
What can he do?
He probably smells like the wall.
That's right. It's probably trying to make him smell better. What can he do? Well, here's something that probably sounds silly but true. Get off the ground. Stop laying on the ground. Get up so he can't pee on you.
That was cute, though. From Ian Watts, what's a good way to negate excessive barking? Interesting question.
Excessive barking. Okay. First of all, I think you need to establish that barking is normal. It's a way to alert the pack. That's step one. Step two is to establish yourself as a pack leader, okay? So if a dog is barking and the pack leader comes out. Let's just say that's you, should be you, and you say the dog's name is, I don't know why I keep saying Ralph. Ralph just keeps coming to mind. I don't know, but let's call him Ralph, right? And
is that your dog's name, Ralph? No.
No, for some reason it reminds me of a cartoon when I was a kid. Ralph and Bird or something. Anyway, so you say to Ralph, oi, stop. Ralph should be stopping because he's alerted the pack. The pack leaders come out. Then there's peace and harmony again. If he's not stopping barking when you speak, you need to give him reason to stop. Okay, so again, you could, see, dogs, when they're excited, they get this excited brain, and it's really hard to turn their brain to focus on you, okay? So what I've done in the past, which has been very successful, is you need to snap their brain out of it. And some of the ways to do that is you can use your hands, for example. Wait, and they look like this. As soon as they look, you've got them. You've got their attention. But you need to have an incentive that's big enough for them to not want to go back to barking. So that might be a ball. That might be it might be food. It might be a rope that they like to play with. It might be they just want to come over and get a pat. Okay. But the point is, when you say stop, they stop. But they need to have reason to stop. So in answer to the question, how to stop the excessive barking, establish yourself as a pack leader. Give them reason to stop.
Okay. Next question from Pamela. Hi, Matt. I'd like to ask how I can help my dog Cookie get along with, that's all it says, get along with maybe another dog. Oh, with a Pomeranian. I'd like to ask how I can help my dog Cookie get along with a Pomeranian.
Wow, well, I don't actually know what her dog is, and but again, I don't know. They're quite broad questions.
Yeah.
See, here's the problem. Here's the problem with when people are trying to bring two dogs together is that obviously they've had one dog beforehand. Okay, so more often than not, they've taught this dog that says you're next in line. In theory, there's me, then there's you, and then there's whoever, whatever, and the dog sees the pack like that. So when another dog comes in and you start paying attention to this other dog and you think they should play happy families, that dog takes the new dog as a threat. So you need to be able to manage the pack and create an environment and a situation where they can still have their pecking order, but everyone understands where they stand. Okay? People get involved in this and they start messing up the order. They think it should be fair and they should be equality amongst the dogs and everything, and it's confusing for the dogs. Dogs like to know, I'm in charge, you're next, then we've got happy families. If people try to put them on level pegs, there's always going to be a challenge.
Okay, here's a follow-up question from Tracy. Hi, Matt. This is a follow-up to my question you answered earlier about additionally, how do we make sure our future dogs do not develop this attitude so we can have more than one dog in our household? Okay.
Can you read that question again? That was.
Let me ask our EP what Tracy's question was before. Can you guys do a follow up to that, please? Oh, this one. Yeah, you remember this?
I remember this lady. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
and she's asking me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
She's asking me how to make that work, right? The little dog and the big dog, yeah?
How do we make sure that dogs will not develop this attitude so we can have more than one in our household? Yeah. Well, you answered and you said, I think what you said was it'd be hard, it would be difficult for them to get another dog.
Well, it would be, but if she did want to do it, then she needs to get some proper training on that and understand the psychology behind it as well. And it touches on a little bit what I spoke about in the previous question about this whole pecking order and equality. When that little dog comes in, I'm fairly sure, or I certainly wouldn't be surprised if the German Shepherd does take that dog as a threat, because it's a threat to his authority as to where he stands in the pack. It's a threat to his time that he spends with his owner. It's a threat to where he sleeps, and that as soon as there's a fence around a house, that fence is his domain, and it's his job to protect that den area or that domain area. So when another dog comes in and she starts giving attention to the dog and it's a little bit out of balance, then the German Shepherd is going to get quite defensive about it, and rightfully so. So she needs to understand the dynamics there, which is what I spoke about previously, and how to manage that. So unless she's prepared to get some sort of professional help on that with introducing those dogs, I would suggest maybe she has a bit of a think about it first.
Okay. Is it true that animals, example dogs, don't really understand what we say to them?
Yeah, it's true. Sorry to burst your bubble, but it's true.
But my dog, my dog understands specific words. Like, well, my dog speaks in a dialect, Ilonggo. So when we say naog, he knows that he's going to go down. She knows that she's going to go down.
All right. Next time you do it, because I don't speak Tagalog, but I'll use an example for English. When you say to your dog, sit, okay, you could just say it, and your dog will sit. If you say down, you can just say ow, ow, or something like that sounds like down, and your dog will probably do the same. What it is, it's called word association. So when you say sit, you generally praise your dog, so the dog will continue to sit. So when it hears a sound like that, it's going to say, well, what did I get reinforced for? What did I get praised for? What did I get good boy for last time? That's what they do. When you say down, or you're going downstairs, I'm assuming you're probably going to take your dog for a walk, and the lead's downstairs, and the dog likes being on the lead because it goes for a walk. That's reinforcing. So when you say down or sounds like that, the dog associates it with a lead and a walk. That's positive reinforcement. So it's word association.
It's word association.
But it's not, yeah, it's not like you can say, hey, listen, can you go down the shop, get some milk, bring back some change, don't forget to get the paper.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Last question from, wow, dude, it's been an hour. I can't believe that was really quick.
That's gone fast.
Yeah, I know, right? We just were.
Yeah, I know.
It was really, really interesting. Last question from Zachary. No. Hi, Matt. I'm 9 years old. I have 2 dogs. How can I make them love me more? Oh.
Good on you, Zach. Zach, the best way to get them to love you more is just spend time with them. Play with them, throw a ball for them, sit with them, spend time with them. That's the best way to get them to love you. Be part of their pack.
There you go. And that was our last question, Matt. Thank you so much for everything. I learned so much.
Thank you, JM.
It's 1 hour.
I know, and it went so fast.
It went so fast. Well, before we say goodbye, Matt, is there a final message you'd like to give our viewers watching tonight?
Yes, there is actually. In everything you do, I would suggest that you set your animals up to succeed. And what do I mean when I say that is don't ask them to do things that you know they're going to fail at. Set them up to succeed, and that comes down to your training, your communication with the animal. Clear, concise, positive communication is the key.
There you go. So to all those watching, please share this live stream with your fellow fur pets, animal-loving friends, or new pet owners who you think would benefit from the tips that Matt shared with us this evening. You can also let us know how much you enjoy the show by tagging us on social media at Philippine Star on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is J.M. Rodriguez, your host, and this has been the Philippine Star's Ask Matt, the Animal Guy, a live Q&A with animal trainer and behaviorist Matt Lawe. You're so awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.